What's going on, guys? Another offline video today. So recently I've been seeing this picture of Ethan Klein going around Twitter from a lot of people in the commentary community. I think that this page here is Turkey Thomas. I'm not really sure. I think they have a different name. I don't know. Anyway, I think that at this point it really is time to have a real conversation about the way that fatphobia and body shaming is linked to fascism in multiple ways. The first way is that you're saying that just because somebody's fat means that they're inherently inferior, right? That is some kind of eugenics argument. And it's insane that people still believe this. The second fact, or the second area of this, is that being fat is a form of expression. And when you try to stifle somebody's expression, what you're telling them is they have to conform to a singular unit, right? You're trying to strip people's ability to think critically or differently than your own, and trying to put them into, corral them into one cage. And that's why rhetoric like this is really dangerous. I don't know, I'm just kidding, bro. Listen, I'm just kidding. Listen, I've seen this picture going around, and I see my friend, I really mean my friend Ryan Beard, talking about it. And I really feel compelled to talk about this because it's getting a little crazy out of hand. I feel like I don't know how deep it is. I feel like it's not that deep. So let's really have a conversation about it. The first thing I would say is I mean, listen, you shouldn't be shaming somebody just because they're fat. You really shouldn't. However, Ethan Klein deserves it. Not because I dislike this guy in any capacity, but because he does the same thing as well. You know, it's like one of those things where if you're going to do it, people do it to you, whatever. It's all free game. It's not that big of a deal. I don't think Ethan cares. I guess I should have checked, but I don't think Ethan cares at all. It's just like, it's a picture of him being a little fat. You know, that's what he does. I've seen him, body shame other people, in the sake of comedy. Okay. You know what I mean? Like, who cares? I don't think Ethan really cares at all. I mean, it's nothing compared to some individuals who might, leverage false accusations against people. It seems like he doesn't really care at all. Like here, I'm just scrolling through here, and you got Ethan making fun of Elon Musk in some capacity because Elon Musk does look interesting. He does look like an old Polygon model from like Star Wars or something, right? It's all in good fun. I don't really care. So this is ridiculous. I don't think Ethan cares. That's the first thing I want to say. Again, you shouldn't be criticizing somebody's looks if they aren't throwing their hat into the ring. If some girl's on Instagram, she just puts a nice picture of herself up and that, you're being an asshole. She's an unprompted thing, right? That's the difference here. But if you're throwing your hat in the ring, it's whatever. And I just wanted to say that realistically, because there is a conversation to have about fat people. Here's the thing, it's not good to be fat, usually, right? Generally, I mean, you could probably argue that being fat is another symptom of eating poorly and probably not exercising enough. There are edge cases. My healthiest in my entire life was when I was 330 pounds and I was training for strongman. And I was actually really healthy. I had a clean bill of health. I was going to the doctor. I was staying monitored. But I was also doing a lot of cardio. I was doing farmer's carries. I was working out 4 to 6 days a week. So it's an edge case. I'll also say that people who say that it's healthy to be fat, that's also problematic. But the reality is you don't need to randomly and unnecessarily criticize people just because they're overweight. In fact, if you want people to lose weight, if that's the true motivation, randomly criticizing them doesn't actually help them lose weight. It just makes them feel, shameful. It just makes them feel shameful, and it doesn't help. Most of the time, people will just continue to lean into bad eating habits, and a lot of times people eat as coping mechanisms. Different people do different things. For instance, I eat when I'm sad. I mean, this is the reason why I'm fat, and it's not a good thing. And I want to talk about it so people will be like, okay, you can recognize maybe when you're coping with food. But I also eat when I'm happy, right? So that's what the biggest issue is. But it's something that I have to work on, and the reality is I have control over it. It's weird because there's a balance of understanding of. Understanding that there is a level of probably some form of addiction, and I know I don't want to be all overloaded, but it's similar. I mean, there's studies that have done talk about how sugar is as addictive as cocaine. It's similar to that, but at the same time, you can also overcome it with willpower, and so there has to be enough of a balance to be okay, to recognize what I'm doing, I'm using it to cope food-wise, with whatever pains or issues I might have going on, but then I have enough control over it, and I have to get my shit together. It just gets difficult. Obviously. And that's pretty much it. And there's no reason to there's no reason to shit on somebody because, yeah, you might go like, oh, well, that person's fat, criticize them in that capacity. But there's a bunch of different things that we can push. There's a bunch of different aspects of all of us that we can put together and we can collect. That there's a bunch of aspects that we can put together and we can collect for every single person to shame them for something. But we don't need to do that. Right? Like, it's unnecessary. We don't need to shame anybody for really anything in an unprompted way. Like, it's unnecessary. It's silly. But anyway, that being said, this is all in good fun, I think. I mean, this, again, Ethan's kind of complicit in this kind of shit, so I don't think it really matters. I do want to read some of the... I do want to go through some of this stuff. Like, for instance, people are saying that it's anti-Semitic for you to criticize Ethan's weight. The hate Ethan gets on Twitter is pissing me off. It's all fatphobic and anti-Semitic. I don't know if I've ever seen anti-Semitic stuff going towards Ethan. I guess I could just be wrong. I went through the replies, and a total of 0 of them have real pictures. They're all incels. They hate Ethan because he matured, and they can't. They hate women and think Joe Rogan is the pinnacle of health, even though he takes HGH and a bunch of other random shit. It's hilarious. Joe Rogan's probably healthier than definitely healthier than me. And Ethan. I know I've heard a little bit of Ethan talk about his health problems. I understand Joe Rogan probably takes performance-enhancing drugs, right? But he's also like 10, 15 years older, and he's in better shape. He probably has a much better clean. He probably has a better like clean bill of health, whatever. You know what I'm trying to say? Shut up. You know, I understand that he takes HGH. I think a lot of athletes do. It's good for like recovery and whatnot. I mean, listen, you know, and he has the ability. This is the thing is like you shouldn't be taking like gear or anything. But if you have access to money and a doctor to help you do it the right way, I mean, like, you're probably going to come out of that, a little bit ahead of the game. Did a little more Googling. Holy shit, dude sucks so much than I previously thought. What is this? What is that? I don't know what the fuck they're referring to. Oh, it's this. YouTube's newest racist icon. All right. That is Zap T, Turkey Thomas. He's a 17-year-old commentator known for his hit video in The Oddest Slut Tim Tom. Listen, here's my thing, man. You know, if we can acknowledge that Ethan has changed, like myself, you know, that redemption arc, I think that, you know, maybe a 17-year-old can also slowly change as well and kind of get pulled out of the... I don't know how crazy this is. I've never watched whatever videos they're talking about. But even if he was a little radicalized, I think that, like, you know, you can move on and change, obviously. Turkey Tom is a Nazi. Pass it on. Oh, opie doopie. Wow, a lot of videos from 2 years ago about him being a Nazi. All these people are mad because he's Jewish, funnier than they are, and they are insecure losers, mad at that Ethan, who has been married for over a decade to his gorgeous wife, doesn't fit into their Chad strongman, get girls, and everyone else is lonely because girls are hoes. Well, listen, I know a lot of people in the commentary community, like Nicholas Diorio and Augie, and they can't get girls, right? You can't call them incels on one hand and then tell them that they champion guys who get a bunch of pussy because they are incels, okay? They're not red-pilled. They probably think women are slightly inferior, but for the most part, they're not bad guys actually talking to them. They mostly just like to meme and joke, okay? And, yeah, anyway. Worldview and have to be confronted with the fact that they're alone because they're the assholes because he doesn't fit the ideal male image but is happily married. They're so predictably insecure that they have nothing else to do but dunk on his weight. The worst offense of all is their bad taste because Ethan is hot. Okay, well, that one... You went a little too far. Ethan is not... I don't know that Ethan is hot. Listen, I think... I don't know. Maybe. I guess maybe I'm just being anti-Semitic right now. But I don't know about that. A lot of people in the commentary community calling Ethan fat, like Nicholas. And that's not going to insult you, Nick. It's also fat. I think it's just silly. They're just being kind of stupid and silly and goofy. Because they're young guys. And also Ethan does the same shit. But anyway, let's get to our Mr. Beard stuff. Listen... Let me tell you something. I like Mr. Beard. We're actual friends. Okay? With benefits. He's a good guy. He's a good person. I always enjoy talking to them. Okay? But of course, there's areas I disagree. I've been seeing some of this unfold on Twitter. And I'm going to talk about it. Okay. Recently online, I've been noticing that fatphobia has been getting worse and worse. I feel like that can't be true. I mean, we've been doing a real good job of shitting on fat people constantly for years. I feel like there's no way it's getting worse. But anyway, I know I'll get hate for saying this, but even if you don't think it's healthy to be fat, it's usually not. Like I said, there's edge cases where you can be fat and healthy, but it takes a lot of work. And here's the thing too, I think is something I should have brought up. There's a difference between being like Papa Gut fat and like Ryan Beard fat. Like Ryan Beard's probably like a little overweight. I don't know if he has any health problems associated with it. I wouldn't doubt if he doesn't. I don't know that you'd have a bunch of health problems associated with being like 30 or 40 pounds overweight. It's not good. But also, I don't think it's like this, crazy thing. I think mostly it's a dietary thing, especially American diets are abysmal. But he lives in Australia now. Good for him. But like when you're me fat, I'm 355 pounds. Like it doesn't matter. You're right there. But a little overweight, I don't think is probably not super health problematic in any like profound way. I would say keep the same energy for people who smoke cigarettes, which is an interesting thing. Somebody being 30 pounds overweight, they're more likely to receive some form of harassment than somebody who like smokes a pack a day. For the most part, someone who smokes a pack a day, you're just like, oh, you shouldn't do that. But like a lot, even today, people think it's cool to smoke cigarettes. I don't know why. So just something to keep in your mind is where, like, I'm sure there's an aspect of people who criticize fat people because they know it's unhealthy. But then there's also an aspect where you just think it's gross. And you just think, you're like, ew, you're fat and yucky. When it comes to like cigarettes, people are like, that's kind of cool. That's how they've been selling cigarettes to kids for years. That's how they did it in my school. The school didn't sell cigarettes, but kids were always smoking. There was an island called Smoker's Island the entire time I was in school. That's how bad it was, kids smoking cigarettes. It's crazy, okay? So don't pretend that I'm wrong here. It is interesting. Now there obviously is a little bit more to being against fat people than just their health. It seems to be also because they look yucky. And I get it. I've seen Nicholas Avocado as well. But we have to try to reel in our we should try to reel it in. Attacking fat people directly linked to fascism because they're saying unhealthy people are inferior. I don't know. Like, if we put together like an entire thing, you can make an argument from like an attractiveness level that being fatter is inferior, but we don't really need to operate in the way of like, I want to fuck this, that, or that, right? In reality, in society, the best thing that we should like look at is like people. There are particular tasks that need to be done. If a person can fulfill that task, it's really none of our business how they live. Obviously within law, as long as they're like within the law. Like if you see a guy that weighs 400 pounds, but he's like a fucking train operator and he's getting people from point A to point B. I mean, like he's benefiting society. If he decides to take that extra money and dump it into his fucking mouth, you could think is gross and unhealthy, and it is. But at the same time, dude, these notifications are pissing me off. But at the same time, understand that that person is contributing to society, right? They're paying their taxes. They're doing what they got to do. So keep that in mind. You don't have to always tell the society that we think somebody is gross, right? If your mom is fat as fuck, are you going to go around and be like, Mom, you fat bitch, I need you to lose weight? Probably not. You might be nicer to her about it. But you do understand that like bullying somebody for being fat doesn't actually increase the chance that they're going to lose weight. I want you guys to understand this. Okay, it doesn't help them actually lose weight. For the most part, it just depresses them more, makes them eat more, and then they just stop caring. So when just keep it in mind. But again, Ethan plays into the game, so let's not. I'm not defending Ethan in that capacity because I'm just saying fundamentally. It's not a coincidence that many of the reject modernity. Fuck, I can't spell. Embrace masculinity. Videos on YouTube start by showing fat people. Fascists see fat people as failure of the West. They need to be eradicated. That's probably actually a little bit true. I wouldn't call red pill people fascists. I just think they're a bit regressive in their values. And I think a lot of red pill people value like fitness, which is a good thing. Like we should actually value fit. This is one of those areas where you can't really knock red pill for being like, you should work on your body. Like, yeah, you should. Yeah, you know what? You should. You really should. I can't even knock them. But they're not super well, okay, so they're not really sensitive. In some ways, they're very insensitive. Where they're like, you need to be skinny, you need to do this, that. But then if you question their masculinity even slightly, or suggest that maybe if they respected more women, that they would get more respect, they have a fucking meltdown because they're very. I mean, listen, not for nothing, but a lot of the red pill guys are very sensitive. Just like most of us are. They just pretend that they're not. But they're very sensitive and prone to emotional outbursts. But it's angry emotional outbursts. I think that anger is not an emotion somehow, even though it very much is. And a good man is tempered. They know how to keep their shit together. Anyway, if someone can get you to look down on somebody for being fat, they're much more likely to also get you to look down on somebody for being disabled. Maybe. I feel like that might be a little bit of a stretch. This is all used as a pipeline towards fascism, where the first step is dehumanizing and hating fat people. They shouldn't be ignored. This shouldn't be ignored. I don't know. That might be a little bit of a stretch. I feel like people already don't like disabled people. I think that the reason that fat people get so much hate in general is it's because it's probably one of the very few things people have control over, right? Like you don't have to be fat. Like if you're somebody with a disability, like you're kind of shit out of luck. Are you like you can't really change that? It's the unfortunate reality. I'm not like laughing because it's funny. I'm just like saying, you know, like when you criticize somebody for being like black or Hispanic or like Jewish or you know what, or have I don't know, have like autism or something. Like those are things that you can't change, but you can change being fat. I would honestly compare it to like a drug habit. Really, I would. I think that people should look at it a little bit like that. It's like one of those things where like a lot of people eat to cope, and we also have a really broken in America at least like FDA. I think because apparently like I was with my wife yesterday. Did you know that like in England you can't get the same sprinkles as in America? Like the chemicals in sprinkles in America are banned in other countries. Isn't that fucking crazy? Like McDonald's, I think wheat thins are banned or something. I don't know if it were Triscuits. I don't remember. I probably could just look this up, but I'm not going to. I should look this up. I think it's like wheat thins, or my wife is an asshole who just lies to me. Oh no, they're banned. Yeah. Oh, see, I was right. Wow. I could edit this out too, and I'm not going to. According to whatever, wheat thins are the 5th best-selling cracker in the U.S. Hey, relax with the racism, okay? However, they are banned in the UK, Japan, and parts of Europe because they contain an ingredient that other countries don't allow. See, that's the thing. You could argue that that's one of the problems that we have in America is like really addictive food substances that are completely uncontrolled, right? And you compare that with the fact that people are just sitting down playing fucking video games every day and every night, and they're not really getting out and working out as much and getting their shit together, right? And we also have a lot more mental health issues, probably due to social media, and people are food coping. But I think we should look at it like that. It's similar to like probably a cigarette habit or like a drug habit in some capacity. Like the only thing is that like unfortunately you need to eat. So it makes it kind of difficult to quit eating poorly when you have to eat something, you know? And again, if you're a fat person, you have control over yourself. You need to have more self-control, just like I do. But it's good to like bring these into context without leaning too far in either direction. It's like bring it up for context and understand some of the struggles that might be associated with being fat, but understand that you still have the ability to control it in some capacity. I think that's the best way to look at like everything for the most part in life. I clicked the button. If someone can... Okay, let's continue. I'm not just pulling the term fascism out of my ass. Fascism and fatphobia are directly linked because fat people are seen as weak, inferior members of society that need to be eradicated. I'm not saying every phobic person is fascist, but they're absolutely linked. See, that's the thing is I don't know that people are saying that fat people should be eradicated as much as they're saying that being fat should be eradicated. I think that's like a slight difference. I think part of it is that people just want to bully somebody for something, and like being fat is like, yeah, I got it, And again, bullying doesn't actually help somebody lose weight. So if you're bullying somebody for being fat, it's to make yourself feel better, not actually to reduce the amount of fatness in the world. I just want you to understand that. Like, you can do whatever you want, but like if you're saying that you're bullying fat people so that they lose weight, you're lying. And you might be able to say like, well, look and see like Greek God X is right here. I think that's a picture of him. Well, what about Greek God X? It's people who lose weight because they're bullied are an outlier. Most people don't respond positively to being like shame tactics like that. Just want you to know. Somebody Noah Blum says, I hope you said these things to Ethan when he engaged in this behavior. Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean Ethan does a similar thing. And it's whatever. It's like, it is what it is. I'm not do you. That's why I don't think Ethan is giving a shit that anybody's criticizing him. I think it's okay to fat shame people when Ethan does it? LOL, obviously not, but nice try. Okay. I will say, and I know this picture's blowing up, but I don't know that I know Ryan probably doesn't agree with things that Ethan does. I know that he doesn't because I know him. But it's interesting that this is where we're the hill we're dying on is specifically when Ethan is targeted with fat phobia, right? Rather than when somebody else who doesn't engage in body shaming in some capacity, even if they're jokes, is getting criticized. You know what I mean? Jesus Christ, definitely saw it coming that people got mad. I said that fascism and fatphobia are linked. There are countless fascist videos online that attack people as weak symptoms of modern society and why we need to return to strength and tradition. I just think people need to move a little more. You can keep burying your heads in the sand if you want, but as someone who actually been doing a lot of research into online fascism, attacking fat people is extremely common among fascists. Maybe. I feel like we're getting a little terminally online, though. You need to understand that it can be simultaneously true that there are health risks associated with obesity. Definitely heavy health risks, like everything, like diabetes and heart disease and all that. And that hatred for fat people is often used to recruit fascists, and that you shouldn't see people as inferior if they're less healthy. It's just like a weird. I don't know. I don't know if it's constantly used as. I mean, like you could argue that maybe it's like a contribution to the alt-right pipeline. I guess. I just feel like that's too much of like a broad generalization to make. I don't know. All I gotta say, guys, is try not to be fat. It's not good for you. I'm telling you from personal experience. Don't be like me. Go run Wendler 531. Look into it. Buy the ebook. It's $10. It's worth it. It's a workout routine. Fascism isn't just when you... Okay, this person says, does that apply to everything? Fascism and leftisms, this guy spelled very incorrectly, is directly linked because conservatives are seen as bad, hurtful to society, a group that ought to be eradicated. I'm not saying every leftist is fascist, but they are linked. I mean, that's actually not a bad argument. So, like, there are obviously some conservatives that are like bigoted pieces of shit, and I obviously disagree with those people, like Ted Cruz saying that gay people shouldn't be able to get married, like really worthless pieces of shit scum. We still shouldn't kill them or anything. We should try to take the rhetorical win. We should try to be able to like destroy the logic and spread that ideology. But there are people who are very, very, very right wing. I mean, even that's bordering. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you shouldn't be like that. We shouldn't tolerate that intolerance. But you shouldn't kill those people, right? But like, there's a difference between somebody being conservative and in my experience. Maybe this is just me. Most conservatives, like, they don't care about gay marriage. Like, they don't want to fight against it. They're not like, oh my god, I love gay people getting married. But they're also not like, I hate this. It's like, you do you. That's mostly how they are. I would say you shouldn't just label all conservatives as bad. And yes, some leftists do, and some leftists do kind of advocate for like the destruction of conservative ideology, or just like people who disagree with them. And you know what I mean? But okay. Fascism isn't just when you think people are harmful to society. Fascism is a right-wing ultra-nationalist ideology that promotes hierarchy and returning to tradition instead of progress. I feel like a lot of people don't know what fascism is. Isn't it? I thought it was like an authoritarian government. Do I need to look up what fascism is? Let's see. A governmental system led by a dictator having complete power, forcibly suppressing opposition and criticism, regime all industry, commerce, etc. Then emphasizing an aggressive national and often racism. Okay. I mean, I guess then yeah, that would be conservative because usually an aggressive nationalism that would be associated with like conservatives and racism. Like there is racism in a progressive context, but it's usually like different. It's usually like virtue signaling, or like pretending to care about minority groups just for like attention and power. Okay, I just feel like we're throwing the word fascism around a lot. Reject modernity, embrace masculinity. 920 hashtag Ziz. Wait a minute, what is that? Wait, listen. Ziz is a legend. Ziz is a legend, bro. Where's this picture? Is that Ziz? Hold on. Is this it? Ziz is a legend. He's probably one of the most legendary individuals in the entire world. There you go. Not bad, dude. Are you Myron right now, bro? Damn, brother. Rest in peace, brother. That's why you shouldn't take too many PEDs, because his heart gave out. Very, very sad. Very, very rest in peace. Then I guess Turkey Thomas. Zapti is just kind of a weird name, bro. Why did you name yourself that? That sounds like you named... It really does sound like you were playing Pokemon as a kid and thought that was like the coolest name, and it's stuck. Like when I was younger, on AOL Messenger, because I'm an old guy, my name was Cheat Master, right? Because I liked to use Game Shark a lot. Could you imagine if I kept that that's cringe. Could you imagine if I kept that name up until now? Oh my god. Thank God I shifted to the much more mature and respected and less cringe name Papa Gut. Anyway, what am I supposed to say to these people? What world do they come from? Oh yeah, this was that. There's that. And, oh, this person says, sick of these fat phobic fucks on my TL. Oh, that's Sabrina, the teenage witch. And this is Anicia. I'm so tired of seeing people comment on other bodies like they're the pinnacles of health. That's fair. Either way, it's funny to, it's all goof. It's all goofs, you know. I wonder what Ethan thinks of this. Here are 4 examples of fascist accounts attacking fat people. There are countless more. If you still want to deny the link between fascism and attacking fat people, you're simply wrong and suck my nuts. Are these fascists? I don't know what channel these people are from. I don't know what this channel is. He just has the... Oh, this guy's... Ellie's? Maybe he is fascist. I feel like there's a lot of gym bros who are very into gym culture and they shame fat people. It's still wrong, but I don't know if I would call them, like, nose pickers. I don't know if I would. This guy has 614 subscribers. I feel like it's a lot of gym bros. I feel like it is just a lot of gym bros. I don't know if it's all this. I don't know if it's all fascism. I'm just saying. Also, mukbangs. We got to be honest here, right? Like mukbangs are not healthy for people. Like it's not a good idea to do that. But okay. Honestly, I think fascists would be offended to find out that you all don't believe that they hate fat people. What? They make such an effort to make it so incredibly clear, and yet y'all are choosing to ignore them for some reason. It's very sad. Here's my advice to Mr. Beard. Personally, I think that the fascism argument link is a little too much for me. I feel like it goes a little farther. I'm not really seeing it. I get that like fascist people probably wouldn't like fat people, but I don't think everybody criticizing fat people in any capacity are actual fascists. I don't even think that red pillars are fascists. I think that they're just dumb as fuck, and it's a bunch of misguided men who have kind of fallen off. And they're getting manipulated by people like Andrew Tate into paying for multi-level marketing schemes. What I would say, though, and this is just some general advice for all of you guys, is that if you have a point, make your point, and sometimes it's best to just move on for a little bit, because if you make a point that goes against the status quo and goes against the grain, people aren't going to immediately agree with it. But they might listen to your words, sit on it for a little bit, and then maybe even a year later go like, wait a minute. Sometimes it just clicks. You have your toilet epiphany, your shower epiphany, and maybe people will be like, you know what, now it makes sense. But sometimes you need to hear something, and then you have to have a particular life experience or a particular group of life experiences before it'll click for you. And that goes for a lot of things. So it might not be good to kind of get so impassioned and post like 10 different posts about it, because you might just be stressing yourself out when in reality you would have been better off making your point, taking a breath, and kind of moving forward. I said taking a breath and it made me yawn. Weird. Notice how I haven't tweeted a single time denying the health risks associated with obesity, and yet still I have thousands of people attacking me simply because I said you shouldn't see fat people as inferior, and hating fat people is linked to fascism. You seem to be calling... I think a lot of people are interpreting what's happening here, Mr. Beard, my friend, as you weaponizing the term fascism to fight fatphobia. Like, there might be a link, but I think that it's like way... I don't think that most people are even close to aligning with all fascist or even most fascist ideologies when they make jokes about somebody being fat, right? Like, I think that what a lot of people are doing is they're going, you're watering it down. You're just watering down you're watering down the term fascism because somebody's being mean to fat people. You know what I mean? I think that that's what a lot, and I think people are dismissing your argument because of that, because it's going a little far. You know, like it's one of those things where I think that there's a difference between bringing something up for context as an interesting conversation versus saying something to morally load your argument. Like if you made a video or something and you were like, you know, it's really interesting if you explore the concepts of some fatphobia, that some of the ideology can be linked to fascism. That's like an interesting, like, let me ponder on that. Versus saying that like, oh, you guys are being fascist in some capacity, or I'm connecting your actions to fascism because you're fatphobic. It comes off as more of like morally loading what you're trying to say rather than like a nuanced conversation about the topic. And I think a lot of people are absorbing that and picking up on that. You seem to be calling channels who are mean to fat people fascists. Oh, right. Is there an unfair reading of your stance? Being mean to fat people is not enough for somebody to be fascist. It has to be paired with things like right-wing nationalism, appeals to tradition, anti-degeneracy, promoting strong men as superior to everyone else. Yeah, and I don't think anybody is making that connection with Ethan Klein. And I think that's where we kind of got lost in the sauce here a little bit, right? Unhealthy people are literally inferior. Here's some of the fascists y'all think don't exist. I guess. Here's the thing. What does this guy have? Like probably 1 million followers, right? Oh wait, 10. Okay. So here's here's the thing, right? It's a weird thing to call somebody fat inferior. Like if you collect a bunch of different aspects of a person and you kind of garble them up, like you can look at different things that would make somebody inferior or superior, right? For instance, you could look at somebody that's 5 foot tall, and I understand what you're going to say. You can't change your height. I do understand that. But you can look at them and go like, well, you're inferior. Women tend to not want to be with you, and when it comes to some kind of physical exertion, like strength exertion in some capacity, you're not super desirable. The only thing that you're good at is riding horses. Let's be honest. But we wouldn't look at a short person and go, they're inferior, because again, we have particular jobs that need to be filled in society, and if you can fill a job in society, you have value. That's pretty much how we look at these things. So you shouldn't really just go like, oh, gross, you're fat and inferior. You can think whatever you want, but we should understand that we shouldn't think that. People have different struggles and different capacities, and there's no reason to just be like, oh my god, you're fat, you should fucking off yourself. So if I upload a random photo of Ethan Klein, does that make me a fascist? No. Well, this kind of started there, Mr. Beard. I'm just going to say, that's where we started. This person says, the key difference here is being disabled is not a choice. Being a fat ass is... I'm sorry. I don't know how you don't laugh at that. I don't know how you don't laugh at that, man. It's just so fucking... It's just so funny. Like, it's not a very nuanced take. It is generally true, but then like we said before, there are different struggles associated with it, so that choice becomes a little bit different. We have to, but like it's still so funny. It's just so I don't know why people don't laugh at that. It's not a choice, always a choice, but yeah, that's generally true. I'm not saying that everyone who hates fat people also hates disabled people, but there's a lot of overlap in that. Maybe. I don't know. It's possible. The only disabled people I hate are fat people because they take up the fucking handicap spot because they're fat as fuck. I'm sorry, but bro, you're literally, come on, cope a little better. Not Ryan, but the fat people. How is it even possible to be this removed from reality? If I'm appalled at the sight of a 400-pound behemoth who has literally eaten their way to at age 40, I now automatically hate people in wheelchairs. Well, that person would probably be in a wheelchair. Not if they're 400 pounds. They could probably still walk. Again, here's the thing. Hot take. It's okay to have prejudices against fat people. It's okay to go, ew, gross fat person. Just don't express it. Keep it to yourself. And you might be like, oh, you say the same thing for, like, racism? Kinda. I mean, you shouldn't hate fat people. You shouldn't hate, black people. But if you're going to do it, shut the fuck up about it. Don't express it to society. And then slowly your ideology will die and be replaced by something that's a little more accepting, right? I'm not saying that you should be that way. You shouldn't hate fat people just because they're fat. Although I do, again, understand it's a little different. Because, fat people can have a level of control over their obesity and other people don't. But yeah, okay. I'm done arguing with all you fucking morons. I literally said that not all people who hate fat people also hate disabled people, and this fucking idiot thought I was saying the opposite. None of you are actually listening to what I'm saying. Well, Ryan, you can't listen to what you're saying because it's on Twitter. You get it? I love when people try to roast me with pictures of me for a satirical comedy sketch. I look ridiculous in a satirical sketch where I pointed out, oh yeah, this is the picture of him. Yeah. Mr. Thomas posted this. Yeah. Wow. Incredible. I look ridiculous in a satirical sketch where I point out I was trying to look ridiculous. Yeah. Why is this tweet is unavailable though? I don't know how Twitter works. I'm a dummy. Yeah, so that's that saga. To end it all, I can't with this picture. To end it all off, like I said, you shouldn't just be criticizing or trying to bully fat people for existing. It's not going to help them lose weight. I'm letting you know this is a very true thing. Bullying people doesn't actually help them. It actually, if you look at it, bullies tend to perform better in society than the people who were bullied, right? It destroys and demeans somebody. It'll tend to probably make a fat person lean into eating more. So if you actually care about fat people, if you want people to actually not be fat, don't bully fat people because it actually doesn't help. It's just for you. You just want to be whatever. That being said, this is about Ethan, dude. He's just... He does the same thing, so it's okay. Like, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? It's like one of those things. It's okay to... It's a kind of like in jest. It is a little mean-spirited. Like, I know when he posted this picture, he was trying to be a bit disparaging of Ethan because he looks a little goofy here. But it is what it is, man. Ethan does a similar thing. We showed it before, and he did it to Elon Musk. He's done it to Joe Rogan, and I'm not saying that he should stop. This is he's in a little bit of an edgier space, so it's okay. That's the only point that I'm trying to make. So to end this off, that was a burp. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and another special shout out to all my Patreon and Twitch subs. If you'd like to support this channel further than you already have by just watching the video alone, go down to the links below where you can sub on my Patreon, which will allow you to get your name on this beautiful black wall. Or you can go to the Twitch page and you can actually use a free Amazon Prime sub, if you have Amazon Prime, to subscribe. Thank you very much, guys. Take care.